You will certainly be able to ask questions shortly at the conclusion of the presentations. If I can get the other one up. We're coming. So before you have your ask, I have an ask. I would like each of you to just jot down at least 3 items that you've learned or that's new to you from each one of these presenters and share. We don't do enough sharing of information that we take away from conferences. Well, let me say it this way. I didn't do enough of sharing, not you didn't. But I think it's important that we begin to make known the value, the enhanced value of biodiesel and the information that is being presented. So having said that, our next presenter is John Schwegman, who spoke earlier today at the opening session. He serves as the U.S. Director of Commercial Products and Medium-Duty Equipment for General Motors. He is responsible for meeting the product needs of General Motors' numerous, and this is key, numerous commercial, government, and rental customers, which represents some 650,000 sales each year, not just one year. So this young man has a lot to tell and can bring a great deal of information to the table. He is also involved in the specialties for certain vehicles that manufacturers and producers need. He monitors the day-to-day engineering activities surrounding commercial vehicles offering. He's been with General Motors since 1988. So he has a little history, and he has worked in a number of sales areas within the organization. So he has to have a lot of insight and a lot of knowledge so that he can bring forth the kind of 650,000 sales that is done every year through his effort. John?
Thank you for that warm introduction, and much appreciated. Again, my name is John Schwegman, and I have not been called young in a while, so I really appreciated that intro. I wanted to spend just a little bit of time talking about kind of the lens of an OEM and what we look at kind of in our day in and day out. And I touched on it a little bit earlier, but I wanted to first start by saying thank you. Thank you to the team, to Jen and to Ron for the invitation and having us part not only of the conference, but part of the panel as well. And thank you to each of you that have been GM customers in the past and might be GM customers in the future. We thank you for your business each and every day. I wanted to spend a little time talking about the market and the innovation that drives us and what we kind of get up and work on every day. And it starts with really our view of sustainability. And the 3 buckets really aren't a surprise to anybody. In the electrification space, in mobile emissions and fuel economy. And I'll just touch on each of these a little bit. In the electrification space, we think we have some game changers that we've brought to market with the Volt and the Bolt, and I'll talk about those shortly. But we're committed to delivering over 500,000 units here by the end of 2017 in terms of sales in the electrification space. So it's an important area, what we bring to the table in terms of our sustainability commitments. On mobile emissions, obviously the reduction of CO2 is something that we're all concerned about for the environment, and we are looking to reduce there significantly and have a commitment to do so as well. And in the fuel economy, obviously we have very stringent CAFE standards, and we're looking for a 15% reduction here in the near term, just in the U.S. fuel economy alone. So 3 areas of our sustainability. Obviously, we do a lot more in terms of recyclability and other things that you can read about in our sustainability program. But these were kind of the 3 that we thought were relevant to touch on here within the industry and within GM. From a compliance view, and I won't go into each of these, but I'm sure each of you are familiar with all or parts of these, but the lens that we look through and the compliance needs that we have fall into the 3 buckets of obviously CAFE and corporate fuel economy standards that we must hit. In greenhouse gas emissions, that's obviously another bucket that is very stringent, and the curve there gets really tough over the next handful of years or so. And then here in California and the 13 Northeast states, there's a zero emission vehicle requirement. So in many ways for us, it's like a Rubik's Cube that we have to solve. So there isn't one silver bullet that says, boy, if we just did more electrification, we're set. Or if we did just biodiesel, we're set. We really have to have a portfolio of alternative fuel offerings that, A, meet the needs of our customers as well as get us along the pathway for very, very strict compliance regulations that are in front of us. As we look at alternate fuels, and in front of you on the table, we've sent out a press release, or we've printed out a press release that went out today that talk a little bit more about how we play in biodiesel in particular. But if you look across the portfolio, we'll play in the biofuel space, biodiesel and flex fuel, CNG and LPG. We've just changed our strategy there to move to a hardened engine offering. And we announced that at the tail end of last year, and we're beginning production where you can make the LPG, CNG hardened engine an orderable option on a go-forward basis. Electrification, we have the Bolt, Volt, and Spark EV, and a couple hybrids as well with the Malibu and the CT6 plug-in hybrid. But it really takes the full portfolio to kind of walk down that compliance pathway, as well as the customer needs that are in front of us. But I'd be remiss in not talking about the far left column, which is the biodiesel. And while Jennifer talked about what other OEM initiatives have been out there in biodiesel, with 20 offerings, we have more than our domestic competitors combined. 20 entries and more coming. We also know some competitors have had challenges with EPA, and I'm not going to touch on that other than the fact that our go-to-market approach as we go through a certification process is we've tried to set a gold standard in visibility and transparency every step of the way of the certification process that we have. And the EPA and how we've gone to market and getting the emissions approved has kind of looked at GM as a gold standard in terms of EPA certification and the process that we've used. So it's helped us as we've gone down the path and introducing our mid-truck with the diesel, when we just introduced our heavy-duty truck with the diesel. The timeline and the requirements are even more stringent, so you have to build in a pretty long lead time to get the certification, and it can impact your production by multiple months if you're not careful. So I think our rapport with the EPA has been really key, and as we bring more and more diesels out, we think that's really important. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of landscape in terms of the different alt fuel technologies that we have, why we offer them, and each one serves a different need from a customer perspective as well as from a compliance perspective as well. I'm going to touch a little bit on the electrification. We thought we really came out with a game changer in 2011 when we introduced the Chevy Volt. Obviously, we just updated that, and we're on our Gen 2 Volt, and that went from 36 miles with a charge to 53 miles per gallon before any fuel is needed. And the new Volt we think is a really great game changer. We've gone from 4 seats to 5 seats in the new Volt. A little more stylish design, a little bit more of a sporty look to it, so a little bit more mainstream, and it's been very, very well received. We also believe that the new Bolt EV is a game changer. A lot of critics said that you're never going to beat Tesla to the market, and we don't think you're going to hit that 200-mile range. Well, we beat Tesla. We're ahead of schedule. We delivered our first Bolt EVs last year to a number of customers in the fourth quarter, and we overachieved the 200-mile range with a 238 mpg range on all electric. So we think you have a really big game changer in the electric space with Bolt. Did receive Motor Trend Car of the Year last week at the North American International Auto Show, received North American Car of the Year. So we're real proud at the initiatives there in the electrification space. Let me focus a little bit more on the biodiesel, though. As we talked about, we have a number of entries, and we've played very hard in the traditional truck space. If you look at full-size pickups, the heavy-duty segment, which is the 2500 and 3500 series, half of everything we sell there is powered with a diesel. So we sell about 120,000 units just with heavy-duty Silverado and Sierras year in and year out, and that's been a dominant part of our diesel footprint historically. We brought out a new mid-pickup, the only domestic competitor to offer the mid-pickup, and that the truck has been an absolute home run. We received Motor Trend Truck of the Year in 2015, and then in 2016, we came with the new 2.8-liter diesel and added that into the lineup on the Colorado. And that powertrain alone earned it a second Motor Trend Truck of the Year 2 years in a row. So the reception on the Duramax diesel, the 2.8 on the Colorado and its sister vehicle, the Canyon, has been very well accepted, and we're selling about 20,000 diesels in the mid-pickup space. So that's been very successful in the truck space. The media's taken notice in terms of the entries we've come, and you can look at the different quotes from different magazines and different pubs, but you know, GM will take aim at VW with the diesel Chevy Cruze being one of them. You can see, I like the one at the bottom, Chevrolet's diesel, burning Colorado ZR2 is ready for the zombie apocalypse. So maybe a little bit of a stretch, but we here in California, we introduced the new ZR2 entry, which is an off-road entry on the Colorado. And to talk about diesel, Jennifer talked about, you know, it's not about fuel or food, it's both. From a voice of customer's perspective, though, it's fuel, food, fun to drive, and functionality. So you got a lot of F's in there. Fun to drive, when you talk about ZR2 with a diesel, what our customers are telling us, that's a great entry. It's sporty, it's fun to drive. Obviously, when you get in the commercial space, diesel brings a lot of low-end torque, very functional. It gets a lot of work done. So the media's taken note in terms of what we're doing and our go-to-market strategy as it relates to diesel. To put it in perspective, if you look at our car park, and I mentioned this morning, we have you know, 2 million diesel vehicles on the road today. And if you just do the math, okay, what does that equate to if everybody filled up with B20? That would save 500 million gallons of fuel every year just with GM products that are on the road today, not to mention the new ones that are coming and how the car park's going to grow over time. That's a real savings. That's a real impact to the environment and a real impact to those fleets that are using this and saving fuel on it day in and day out. When we look at commercial fleets and what they drive, this is just a snapshot from Automotive Fleet, and it looks at, okay, the top 50 commercial fleets in the market. And what do they drive, and what are their alternate fuels? Well, it's a mix. You see flex fuel in there being the biggest, but hybrid electrics right there, CNG's there, and then biodiesel, all kind of in that 17 to 18% range. So the commercial fleets really look at the portfolio, and different fleets kind of go to different alt fuels based on their needs. So again, for us to have, there isn't one silver bullet in alt fuels. That's why we play in a number of these spaces. If you look at diesel in a sales comparison between kind of the retail market and the fleet market, and these are GM numbers, where do we sell? On the left, you look at fleet usage, and it's predominantly truck, 75% truck. When I say truck, mid-pickup, full-size pickup. But vans plays very big in terms of diesel, and that's going to grow as well, and then other. In the retail side, and this is, you know, segment or industry, this isn't GM, it's 74% truck, but there also is some diesel on the luxury side and the compact car and then other. So Somewhat similar, but you see van pop up more in the fleet space where cars and crossovers play a little bit harder in the retail space. And reasons for purchase. I'll start with the right side here. On the retail side, you know, it's fuel economy, it's fuel type, and there are a bunch of diesel enthusiasts, and I don't think I have to tell this audience that you know, I'm going to get a diesel. Now I just have to figure out what segment and what manufacturer I'm going to buy it from. So diesel enthusiasts really drive the retail market, but the challenge in the retail space is still the perception of they're dirty, they're loud, they're not clean, and we all know that those realities are not true, but that has held us back a little bit from the retail acceptance, and we think we're going to change that perception with the entries that we have coming out. From a fleet perspective, it goes more towards total cost of ownership. Obviously, range on one tank is huge when you can get 600-mile range on many of the diesel entries. And then the combination of performance and towing, the low-end torque that it offers. So a little bit different between fleet and retail, but reasons for purchase are really important in driving the market here for both of these. As I mentioned, the 2.8 diesel was new just a couple years ago that we brought out in the Colorado and Canyon. And just this past fall, we introduced the all-new 6.6-liter turbo diesel in the Silverado and Sierra heavy duties. And they are two of our cleanest burning diesels ever. So these are kind of the horses in our stable, if you will, on the truck side of the market. The Duramax name has really carried a lot of weight with customers in terms of reliability and durability, and will continue to do so for us. We are introducing the 2.8 Duramax diesel in our Chevy Express and GMC Savannah vans. Production starts here next month on these, and this will be a great offering, a small displacement diesel for a commercial truck or commercial van application, in this case, a body-on-frame truck that has outstanding durability. So this production starts here this next month and will be a great entry, additional entry to our commercial portfolio. When you look at the cars and crossover spaces, the Chevy Equinox, we introduced that we will be offering a new 1.6-liter turbo. That production will start this summer. So in probably the hottest segment in the industry, compact crossovers, we will have a diesel entry, and we will be the only diesel entry in this segment. Chevy Cruze comes back with the diesel entries. I've talked to a number of you that have driven the current Cruze and have asked, when is it coming back? Well, it is back. Production starts in the spring with both the sedan, and now we're offering the 1.6-liter turbo in the Cruze hatchback as well. So we'll be playing in both the car and the crossover space as it relates to diesels going forward. And then if you look at the truck lineup, we've talked about really being the only OEM that has had a 3-truck strategy. And what I mean by that, some competitors offer a light duty, some offer a heavy duty, but we have a light duty Silverado, a heavy duty Silverado, as well as a Colorado. So we're the only ones with a 3-truck strategy. We've just started our 4th truck entry, so we've moved to a 4-truck strategy with our Chevy Low Cab Forward that has 2 diesel entries. So on the screen, 3 of those 4 entries all carry a diesel, and we're moving to a 5th truck strategy with a conventional medium duty that we've announced a partnership with Navistar that will be coming in 2018. And we think a diesel entry in this market is a really smart play as well. So we're moving to a 5-truck strategy, 4 of which will have diesels, and who knows, maybe in that 5th space we may do something in the future as well. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support and your business over time. And on behalf of GM, we appreciate your business each and every day. Thank you.